Alright, so here's the challenge. How do you actually soundproof a room for just $50? Not sort of soundproof it. Not the stick some foam on the wall and hope for the best. I mean real, noticeable noise reduction. Today I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. What works, what doesn't, and the order you should tackle each step so you're not wasting a single dollar. Step 1 is seal every gaps you can find. Before you even think about fancy soundproofing products, you've got to deal with the basics, stopping air leaks. Because here's the thing, if air can get through, so can sound. And a lot of noise coming into your room isn't just slipping through the walls, it's sneaking in through the cracks, tiny cracks you don't even notice. One of the best and cheapest tools for this is acoustic sealant, like Red Devil soundproofing caulk. This isn't just regular caulking. It stays flexible over time so it won't dry out, shrink, or crack as your house shifts with the seasons. Start with the obvious areas around the window frames. Any little gap between the trim and the wall can leak sound. Where the wall meets the floor or ceiling, even hairline cracks can act like a mini speaker port for sound. But here's where most people miss a big one. Electrical outlets and light switches, especially on the walls that faces the noise source. These are basically holes in the walls with thin plastic cover on top, and sound loves traveling through them. For outlets and switches, here's what I recommend. First, turn off the power to that circuit at your breaker. Next, remove the faceplate. Use a thin bead of acoustic sealant around the inside edge where the electrical box meets the drywall. Let it cure, then put the faceplate back on. You can also get foam outlet gaskets for pennies a piece. These sits behind the faceplate and acts as an extra layer of noise blocking. And don't forget about doors. If the trim isn't sealed tight to the wall, run a bead of sealing along the edge. And sealing them up is one of the cheapest, highest impact things you can do. One tube of this acoustic sealant costs between $8 and $10 and will cover a small room. Step 2, weather strip the door. If the door has a gap between it and the frame, sound is coming through. You've got two solid options here. Option 1, which is the cheapest one, self-adhesive weather strip foam. This is the cheapest option, about $5 to $8, and works well if your door stays closed most of the time. Just stick it to the inner door stop so it seals tight when shut. But here's the catch. If the door is used a lot, the self-adhesive will eventually peel off. Go to option 2 if you use the door frequently. These are door seal kits. This is the same $20 seal kit I use in my $20 door soundproofing video, and it's way more durable. Instead of relying on glue, it screws into the door frame with a sturdy compression seal, so it lasts even with heavy daily use. It's a bit more of your budget, but it gives you a much more stable seal over time. And for the gap under the door, whichever option you choose, you'll still want a U-shaped door sweep or draft stopper for around $10 to $12 to block that bottom door gap. I'll have links in the description below of everything I talk about in this video. There's also QR codes to make it easy for you if you're watching it on your TV. Also, I have a membership that you can join if I can help you out and give you some advice, what to use. You could save a lot of money by just asking a question. Now, step 3, block the windows. Windows are almost always the weakest link in the room's soundproofing because glass is light and sound travels through it quite easily. Now, a proper soundproof window insert or double glaze replacement would be amazing, but those starts at hundreds of dollars and we're sticking to a $50 budget, so we've got to get a little bit more creative. One of the easiest and cheapest fixes is a moving blanket, usually around $8 to $12 each. These things are heavy, dense, and are designed to protect furniture from impacts, which means they've got enough mass to block a little bit of sound coming through. Here's how I do it for maximum noise blocking. Use adhesive Velcro strips if you want to take it down during the day. Hang the blanket so it covers just the glass, but also overlap the frame by a few inches on all sides. This seals off some of those little air gaps that noise leaks through. For under $15, it'll cut down a surprisingly amount of street noise, neighbor noise, and barking dogs. And as a bonus, it'll help with temperature control in the room also. Step 4, add mass where it counts. In soundproofing, mass equals noise blocking power. The heavier and denser a barrier is, the harder it is for sound waves to push through it. Now, most people hear add mass and they think to buy expensive acoustic panels or some kind of high-tech soundproofing board. The truth is, you don't have to. Anything heavy and solid can block sound, and that includes things you probably wouldn't think of as soundproofing products. If you've got a noisy wall, the cheapest quick fix is to hang something heavy on it. A thick quilt or comforter, a heavy moving blanket. If you can find a used rug for $10 to $15 at a thrift store or online marketplace, and it'll block sound just as well as a sound blanket you'd find on Amazon for about 4 or 5 times the price. But really, what you would want to add is drywall, because drywall is of course a lot denser and heavier than thick blankets on a wall. Thick blankets on a wall is going to stop a little bit of noise if you live in a rental where you really can't make any noticeable alterations. But if you can make some alterations, can you add drywall for just $50? If your wall is really small, there's a chance you could add an extra layer of 5/8 of an inch drywall within this budget. And that's a huge mass upgrade. So here's the math. A 4x8 sheet of 5/8 of an inch drywall will cost around $16 to $20 at most big box stores. You'll need a box of drywall screws, $6 to $8. If you don't already have joint compound and tape, budget also another $10. So for one sheet, you're looking at around $30 to $38 total in material. That leaves you just enough to grab a small tube of acoustic sealant to seal all the gaps around the perimeter once it's up. This only works if the noisy wall is small enough that one sheet will cover most of the wall. If your wall is bigger than that, drywall quickly blows past your $50 limit. In that case, stick to just heavy rugs, heavy carpets, things that is just the heavier, the denser, that fits within your budget. Make sure to completely cover that wall. Don't leave any gaps. Step 5, reduce echo inside the room. Here's something most people overlook. A room with a lot of echo will feel noisier even if it's not actually letting more sound in or out. That's because sound inside the room is bouncing off the walls, floors, ceilings, and those reflections makes everything seem louder and harsher. Now, controlling echo isn't the same as blocking noise, and I proved that in a test I did with acoustic foam panels. I covered an entire door with foam panels, edge to edge, and then measured the sound coming in and out of the room. The results? No difference. The foam reduced echo inside the room, but for blocking noise, it did almost nothing. So while acoustic foam is great for making a room sound better inside, it won't stop the neighbor's TV or traffic noise from getting inside the room. That's why if your goal is to reduce echo and make the room feel quieter, you want to focus on soft surfaces everywhere. Cushions, pillows, and upholstered furniture, heavy curtains over windows, thick blankets, quilts hung on bare walls. Even clothes on a rack or an open closet door. They're basically free acoustic panels you already own, and if you've got leftover moving blankets from the window and door soundproofing, hang it on the wall opposite to the noise source. That way you absorb some of the sound bouncing back into the room, which makes conversations clearer and background noise less annoying. The key here is remembering that echo control and soundproofing are two different things. Echo control, which is sound absorption basically, makes the room feel calmer and quieter, while real soundproofing physically blocks or reduces sound from entering or leaving a room. Alright, so there you have it. Soundproofing a room for $50. Let me know in the comments section below if you've done it. If you want to go further, you can start by adding things like mass-loaded vinyl, double drywall, or window insert, and that's for when your budget gets a little bit bigger. If you want to know what those things do to your wall for soundproofing, video right there. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, assuming you subscribed.